Who is Chantelle Kadala? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, someone that ran their own business? Can you remember your
Yeah.
first customer that you got and how you got them? Are you ready for some rapid, quick fire questions? Welcome to the JOD Pod, a micro podcast where we interview CEOs, coaches, entrepreneurs, founders, and authors. Today, we are luckily joined by Chantelle Kadala, founder of Diversity Inclusion Work. Great to have you with us today, Chantelle.
I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Listen, I know you pretty well, but for those of us that are listening to this and haven't met you before, who is Chantelle Kadala?
Awesome question, right? I am a pretty seasoned content marketer by trade. This is how I make money and buy all my pretty stuff. So I've been doing that for over 10 years. I work mostly with startups and entrepreneurs, digital marketers, creating content that sells. I have this new passion project, which I'm here talking about today, and that's really just born out of a need I saw. And I am well known as kind of a bleeding heart. I want to save everybody and everything all the time. And I really had to figure out where I could affect the most change. Where me, Chantelle, with my skills and my superpowers, could come in and really affect the most lives. And I felt like this diversity, inclusion, equity space was missing even just the simplest tools to facilitate just smoother conversation. And so I'm just really excited to launch and provide those tools and resources so people can really dive in. The people that want to do the work, just make it as easy as possible.
That's awesome, Chantelle. Thanks for sharing that. Like it's incredible for me to speak to you because we have a catch up most weeks about the work that you're doing, and you seem so organized, so passionate, so you're really good at delivering work. I know a lot of people that talk about doing work, but you're definitely a deliverer of work, which I love, and I really do appreciate that. I'm wondering, one of the things that we're trying to do with the JOD Pod is to inspire other people to start their own thing and to step out of their comfort zone. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, someone that ran their own business?
No, it's funny because I'm so the opposite. I actually, part of my very long and complicated story was that I was in college, and then, like a lot of very young women, I got pregnant and got married, and so I couldn't do college anymore. But that's all I wanted to do. So I had to start working, and because I was so organized and so driven to make other people succeed, I became an executive assistant, and I did that for a really long time. And so that world, so I worked corporate, C-suites, all of that, and that was very comfortable for me. I would have done it for the rest of my life because entrepreneurs to me seemed insane. I'm like, you don't know if you're getting paid on the 15th. I can't live this life. And so I worked. And then I had some really great situations and some really bad situations. And then it came to a point where I got a boss who was just all kinds of wrong. And at the corporate level, it was we know he's doing all these bad things, but he's been with the business for 40 years. So we kind of need you to, be quiet about it. So I was like, all right, I quit. But now I don't have a job, and I don't want to go back to having a boss control my life. So I was like, I like to write. I'm good at that. I was always good at that. Let me see if I can do this. And this was 12 years ago when you still saw, I don't know if you had this over there in the UK, but like they were like work from home, stuff envelopes, and like you can make $1,000 a month or whatever. So I was just like, I am going to figure out how to make money writing stuff. And I started really small, and then uh where it was I'd write an article for Yahoo, and I would get like 3 cents every time somebody read it or something, right? This the stupidest things, just straight slave labor situations. But I had to be like, okay, I need to replace my income. And so I just really was like, you've always hustled for other people. There was never a shortage of the hustle. I hustled for my kid, I hustled for my job, I hustled for my church, hustled for nonprofits. I need to hustle for myself. So what does that look like? And that looks like asking people if they want me to write for them. But now I want to push people to do that, right? Because it's the infinite possibilities that make it amazing. And if anything, I want to say just be a little smarter than me, because I have for a very long time been trading dollars for hours. That's the same as having a job. That's not the entrepreneurial magic, right? So I have other things like I'm diversifying and passive income and other projects, and just really trying to find a way to monetize, my superpowers.
Can you remember your
Yeah.
first customer that you got and how you got them?
So my first customer, my first client of my new I'm gonna be my own boss content marketing business was I went to different websites and I read their blogs, and especially 10 years ago there just wasn't a lot of people blogging. Like they wanted to blog. Google was telling everybody, you got to blog, you need this written content. And so I was very confident in my skills and the need for what I was doing, that I would just go to blogs, and if they had bad blogs, or went to a website that didn't have a blog, I was like, "Hey, I blogging is important if you want to be found online. Here's the stats. I know how to create content that Google loves. If you're interested in that, let's talk." So I probably sent out three, and I'm sure I was like, this is never going to work. And I heard back from all three, and I was not confident. So I was like lowballing, and I was like, yeah, 5 cents a word, I can get you 600 words twice a month, and, just really lowballing it because I just wasn't confident in what was happening. And what was spectacular about that is that first of all, that I heard back from them. And I think a lot of that just has to do with me approaching them like, you have a problem, I can fix it, and do it well. And then executing on that promise, because within 3 years I had them on the first page of Google for their keywords, and then within a year of that, that they were able to sell that startup for millions of dollars.
Man, that's
Right.
fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So tell me more about what you're doing at the moment, Chantelle.
So this would be my passion project, because I've gotten to the point now where I can do things that don't make a ton of money. So the world has gone crazy, and there's a lot of talking at people that's going on around diversity and equity and inclusion. And it's become this very political, racial, antagonistic space. With this project, what I'm hoping to do is just facilitate a better communication. Where I can really make change is in the space I work in with startups and entrepreneurs and marketers. Um, they have the unique ability to pivot quickly and build fast on new concepts. And I want that new concept to be, we have a statement about diversity, we have commitments, we have a mission, and that's part of the business that we do. So I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you to communicate that message, so that if you're a startup with one employee or a small business with 20 employees, you are empowered to articulate your exact message and make it clear to your team members, to the people you want to hire, to the people you want to work with, to your customers, to investors, what it is that you value so you attract the people that you want to work with and work for. I have the words to do that. I want to give other people those words. And so the foundation of that is just the diversity, equity, inclusion workbook, which just gives you all the tools so that in under an hour you can have that statement. From that statement, you can stop if your only goal is just to create your statement. But it just gives you a foundation to speak from if you want to join this conversation. I know that there's people that want to join the conversation, but it's scary because it gets to the point where you have to validate your beliefs, and that's hard to do because you've never thought about it. But if you have the diversity statement, then you have your value system, you've articulated your beliefs, and it just makes everything easier. It also makes it easier for people to understand what you're saying and not mislabel it as being not politically correct or antagonistic, and just building up that vocabulary. So because I know there's people that want to join the conversation, and you should be able, if you're a 30-year-old white person, you should be able to have this conversation, and I feel like it's kind of not allowed, and I just want to facilitate.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, Chantelle, what you're doing there, because I speak to lots of different businesses that talk about diversity, and it's, for want of a better term, it's very skin deep. So they talk about diversity, and then I say,
Yeah.
okay, what? And then it's like, yeah, we want more of it, but there's not much kind of substance that kind of backs that up. And even more important, and I don't know if this is something that it covers because I haven't looked into too much detail, but I think talking about it is one thing, but
Yeah.
there's the action that's associated with that. Your actions will always speak louder
Right.
than whatever,
Right.
pithy comment that you might have, but the right words can lead to the right kind of actions and interactions that
Right.
people should be having.
I know. So that I'm super excited because the workbook is like the starter project. And even if you go to the diversityinclusionwork.com website, for free you could download the glossary. And it's like 30 pages of words that you'd be like, oh, that's what that means. Like if you use some of these words, you're like, oh, they were calling me names. And I'm like, no, being an ally is a good thing. Like just, having that conversation is way different when you know the vocabulary. So that's on there, but in the works, and which is what I'm super excited about, is a discussion guide, how to have those conversations. It's a strategy guide for teams that have 10 people and don't want to make everybody uncomfortable, because diversity and inclusion shouldn't be punishment for non-minority people or non-disabled people. It shouldn't be punishment. I want to make it easy. I want to make it beneficial. And so I just am excited because with the discussion guide, the strategy guides, that it just makes it so that people in a space where they can affect the most change. And I think that is the small business startup, small scale stuff, um, can pick up something and like get that done in a day. Like you're not going to change your diversity, but you're going to have a plan. You're going to have a statement. You're going to have a commitment. You're going to have goals. And how awesome would it be that your startup starts that way, so that when your startup becomes the next Apple, that you've had that in place from day one and the expectations were clear.
Chantelle, I'm so excited for you, and I love the mission that's around that, and I think the way that you talk about it is so impassioned, and hopefully by being on here, there's a few people out there that are listening that think, yeah, this is exactly what we need to be doing at our business. I'm certainly thinking about it, and I'm also thinking about some of the clients that we talk about from a marketing perspective and how they talk about diversity. I think there's probably some actions in there as well. So we'll definitely have a conversation offline about that. In the meantime, Chantelle, are you ready for some rapid, quick fire questions?
I am, I think.
What's your favorite app or SaaS product?
Oh my goodness, I am a slave to Canva. I do content marketing, so I use it every day, I make money off of it.
It's definitely our most recommended app, by the way, Canva. If they want to sponsor the podcast, we are open to conversations.
Yeah.
What's your most recommended book, Chantelle?
Oh, I am very excited to share this with people because more people need to read it. It's called The Middle Finger Project, and it's by Ash Amberge is her name, and she's blogged forever. She's this content marketer copywriter. She's blogged forever, but what's awesome is I've never encountered a better storyteller. And she is all about it's the rags to riches story, and she is just unapologetic about how she went from average to awesome and how that ability is in everybody. I could almost cry with how she inspires people who feel like I'm not good enough. I can't do that. And it's very, female empowering, but it's really anybody empowering. And I just highly recommend it to anybody.
Awesome. Great recommendation.
Insane.
Never heard of it. I will certainly be putting that on the reading list.
Yeah.
Who's an up-and-comer that you think we should be keeping an eye on as a future Huffington, Bezos, or Musk?
Yeah, I am biased in that I don't believe the hype on 99% of people. So there is a special person who I think really is going to be like the next Oprah. I feel it. It's going to happen. I believe it. But Fatima. So the Fatima K show is on YouTube. So that's also going to be my answer for that. I've met thousands of people, and she might be one of the few that genuinely is invested 100% in making this world better, making you personally on your level better. She's focused right now on Muslim women entrepreneurship, but it goes so much bigger. Every word she says is so much bigger than that target market. And she's out there and she's making the content, and she's on YouTube, and she's you can't encounter her and not buy in on what she's selling. And what she's selling is, you are awesome. Let's get this done.
Fatima is awesome. She's been on the podcast, and I love what she's doing. And the next Oprah, I definitely think that there's a space there for someone to come through in that kind of space. And she's got the energy. She's starting with a good niche. So who's your favorite YouTuber and podcaster? You already going to say Fatima?
I am, but also kind of in love with Marie Forleo. You heard of her? She's another one where her energy gets me going.
No, I'm familiar with Marie, but that's a good endorsement, and certainly someone, if people haven't looked at any of her content, look at it. It's really interesting. Where can people find you, Chantelle? What's the best way to interact with what you're doing?
The best way to interact with me would be probably Twitter or LinkedIn. The websites, I have a couple of different ones. I don't need more clients, but I would love for people to check out diversityinclusionwork.com. That is where I'm building my passion project. We're gonna take over the world and make everybody equal. I feel like 5 years, I should have it done.
I couldn't agree more. I think where you're starting is just the right space, and where you have that vision and where it's going to go to. I think it's going to be really exciting to watch over the next few years. Thanks, Chantelle. There we have it. Chantelle Kadala is the founder of Diversity Inclusion Work, that provides actionable tools for businesses to easily deploy to articulate their diversity, equity, and inclusion messaging. Chantelle managed to get her first customer by searching websites and directly emailing the owners of those websites to recognize a problem they could fix and offer a solution. Chantelle's favorite app is Canva, obviously. Her most recommended book is The Middle Finger Project by Ash Amberg. She loves watching and listening to Fatima KTV on YouTube and Marie Forleo. She thinks that we should be keeping an eye on Fatima as a potential future Oprah. I'd be delighted if Fatima became a future Oprah, I could say I was there first as a podcast host with her. And you can find out more about Chantelle by heading over to diversityinclusionwork.com. That's diversityinclusionwork.com. Download the 1 hour DEI statement workbook to get you started on the journey. Chantelle, thank you so much for joining us today on the JOD Pod.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on today's interview on the JOD Pod. To ensure that you don't miss out on any of these future interviews, you need to play the YouTube game. You need to click like and hit the bell and subscribe. And I'll tell you what, you can also ask Chantelle a question below. Chantelle's been asking for questions about diversity and inclusion and equity. Ask them in the comments below. It'll help this video out. It'll help Chantelle out. And you might also expand your knowledge about all things diversity. It also make you feel a bit better, you know, helping other people out. That kind of altruistic feedback loop, it does make an impact. Chantelle will answer every single one of them, I promise. Hopefully you felt inspired by Chantelle's story today and you can go out and build and create something for yourself. Thanks for joining us today on the JOD Pod. If you enjoyed this interview, why don't you check out some of these other interviews that we've done on the JOD Pod. More inspirational CEOs, coaches, entrepreneurs, founders, and authors. I'm sure there's something here that will inspire you to build something new.